Namaskar. Today, in the book review section, we are going to review this knowledge enhancing book by B. Wilson, that is, The First Bite. So let's start. Which types of food do you love the most? Try now to articulate why you love it. Perhaps your preference has to do with flavor, texture, or something more elusive. More often than not, the foods we love are those with which we grew up, dishes that often appeared on our childhood tables. They somehow connect us to memories of other meals we ate when we were younger. If you think you were born to hate certain foods, then think again. Your palate is built through experience. Have you given up on the possibility of your child ever liking broccoli or Brussels sprouts? It might seem as if children are hardwired to hate certain kind of foods, but this simply is not the case. Researchers, whether neurologists or biologists, agree that our palate is not something we are born with, but something we learn. The mainstream consumer, however, is mostly unaware of this fact. Many of us believe that our love for sweet is an evolutionary phenomenon. Humans learn to seek out sweet food because, unlike bitter foods, they generally are not poisonous. So, as sugary treats are everywhere, we can blame our brain for being unable to resist the sweet temptations. A 2012 study revealed that some individuals don't get their sweet fix from sugary cereals, but rather prefer a ball of mozzarella or a sun ripened cob of corn. There are plenty of sugar in our food that are not immediately thought of as sweet. Consider that nearly a third of the population in the Western countries does not reach for sweetened cereals for breakfast. The most important factor in your palate's development, far more important than your biological makeup, is your food environment. Which sort of food did you grow up eating? If you did not consume a lot of sugar as a child, fresh corn or cob tastes as sweet as can be. But if you gobbled a lot of processed salty snacks and sweet treats, that air of corn will not satisfy your craving for sweetness. In short, taste is not something we are born with, but rather something we learn through eating. Try not to pressure your children at the table. They are perfectly capable of feeding themselves well. Remember how much you hated it when your parents demanded you finish your last bite, even though you were stuffed. Many of us do. Memory like this highlight another important element in our food environment. It's not just the food you eat, but how you eat it. Another influence on our palate is parental pressure to eat or like certain kind of foods. Why do parents force children to eat vegetables? Often parents think that children will not eat them otherwise. But it's long been proven that children make more sensible eating decisions on their own than you might think. In 1929, Doctor Clara Mary Davis of Cleveland, Ohio, America, conducted an experiment investigating children's eating behaviors. Babies starting at the age of 6 to 11 months were allowed a special self selection diet. In other words, the children were allowed to eat whatever they wanted, choosing from a list of 34 foods, from sweet milk to kidneys. Importantly, the supervising nurse never placed any pressure on the child to choose certain foods. Whichever dish a child reached for or preferred, he or she could eat. The experiment lasted for 6 years, during which nearly every child willingly sampled all 34 kind of foods. So much of children never wanting to try something new. What's more, the children in the experiment even demonstrated a capacity of self-medicate, choosing nutritional foods such as beets and carrots if they had a cold. Somehow, the children knew that they would get needed nutrients through eating a range of different foods. But importantly, the study showed that pressurizing a child to eat would not encourage him to explore new tastes. It would only stress him out. The issue of kid food is not just a private one, but also a public challenge. In 2000, the most popular school lunches provided in the British schools were hamburgers, pizza, and French fries. While most parents keep children from eating too much candy, at the same time, they seem to have no problem feeding them breakfast cereals or processed dinners that contain a lot of sugar. It's almost too easy for food manufacturers to make unhealthy children snacks, as doing so is also inexpensive. A 2013 study found that almost 75% of food marketed to children had shockingly low nutritional value. Of course, there have been attempts to turn this around, but to date, no program has achieved success outright. From British chef Jamie Oliver's schools lunch program started in British schools to US First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign, innovative programs have not achieved their goals. Why not? Although such initiatives promote healthy eating, they fail to realize that children had never learned to see food as a source of nourishment in the first place. Until reforms address this factor as well, children will keep dumping healthy school lunches in the trash. Gender norms influence how parents feed children, setting the stage for future health problems. Idea that boys need more food than girls is damaging. While boys would be better off eating less, they are told to take as much food as they like, while girls are often chided to watch their weight. Overweight girls don't need less food, they need more nourishment food. So, why don't parents recognize this? The real problem is that most parents don't know when the child has a weight problem. Survey in the Scotland revealed that parents will only consider a child overweight if child is severely obese. Children that weigh more than they should for the age and height are seen as normal and healthy. This problem tends to carry over into adulthood as a self-image issue. Another survey in the United States found that 43% of overweight men did not think they needed to lose any weight. The purpose of eating is to satisfy hunger, but it's our increasing tendency to make appetite for hunger that cause problems. While hunger is an instinctive reaction we experience from birth, appetite is mere desire to eat particular kind of food. As a result, children learn that they can justify eating at any time simply by saying that they are hungry, which is just boredom in disguise. We are not born with eating habits, but rather learn them in the childhood. The food we eat during these early years and experience we have while eating can create negative patterns like comfort eating that can linger through adulthood. But if we find a way to spur interest in improving our eating habits, we can make a change for better. Thanks.